Hey, this is Aaron.
And Blake, we're AB Data.
Thanks for walking through this Alteryx weekly challenge with us.
In this video, we're taking a look at weekly challenge number 224, Mushroom for Improvement. I absolutely love the little pun there. It's a lot of fun. In this week's challenge, we're going to focus on a data set that describes mushrooms, but it's been encoded. So taking a look here, we'll see that we have our classes, cap shapes, cap surface, but we really don't know what any of this means because we don't have any other information besides this coded, these codes that are in here for our values. Luckily, we have the attribute information down below. Oh, it's a mess, but we'll be able to get that parsed out and then tagged onto our main data set so that we can end up looking like this, where we've got our different field names along with our along with the attributes, how we want to see them. So let's go ahead and hop right in here. The first thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to grab a record ID tool. This will give a unique identifier to each row and will allow us to put our data back in the order that we want it to be in after we cross tab it. So we're then going to transform our data or transpose it with our key column being a record ID. Everything else is going to be our data fields. So we end up having a nice, skinny, tall data structure now that is very easy for us to work with. And we're ready to join that up against our other data once we finish working with it. So from our other one, we're going to want to use text to columns to sort of split this out, and we're going to use a series of text to columns tools. So let's start out first by looking at field 1 and just splitting it to 2 columns using a colon delimiter. That's going to give us a field called 1 and a field called 2, which is going to have our attribute information in one, and then it's going to have our the code in the other one. And so we're going to go ahead and split this further. This time we're going to take our field number 2 and we're going to split it based on these comma delimited lists. Let's grab another text columns tool. This time we're going to be splitting field 2 based on commas, but we're splitting it to rows. That's going to take our record count from 23 up to 128. So we have an average of around 5 to 6, actually a little bit over 6, I suppose, around 6 records that are being split out from each one of our fields here. Finally, the last thing that we want to do is we want to do one more text to columns. And this time when we do our text to columns, we are going to split our field number 2 on a equal sign for our delimiter into 2 columns. Let's hit the run button and see what we have. And so now that's given us our separate different attributes along with the letter that they go with. So this is looking a lot better. We're not going to need field 2. We're not going to need field 1. We will need 1, 21, and 22 at some point here in a minute. But before we do, let's go ahead and clean them up. We can clean them up using a multi-field formula. So we're going to want to select our text fields. We'll just say that we'll select all of them. And we want to go to our string functions, say trim, our current field. All right, I'll hit the run button and see what I've got. Nice, cleaner, much cleaner looking fields anyway. Not quite at a point where I'm ready to join them because I do want to take this and call this class rather than attribute information. So let me come in here and I'm going to use a formula to do this. So I'm going to say within field number 1, let's replace where it says attribute information, let's go ahead and call that class. Let's do a little bit more cleanup here real quick. Let's take this classes edible space. Let's also replace that in field number 21. Let's say replace in 21. Oops. So 21. The target that we're looking at is here. And we want to replace that with nothing. And then the last thing that we want to do is basically the same, but it's that closed paren down in field 22 on the second row. So let's say replace classes. Nope, we want to get rid of only the closed paren. And let's hit the run button and see what we've got. Everything looks cleaner here now. We've got everything here in fields 1, 21, and 22 that we're going to need. So let's go ahead and join it against our main data set. So looking here, we're going to want to match our name to our field number 1. Let's say name to field 1. We're going to want our values to match up against field 22. We don't want to keep either of the values because those are just the letters. We do want to keep field 21. These are actually going to be our new values, so we'll call them value. Field number 2 we don't need, field number 1 we don't need, and field 1 we don't need. So we really just need record ID, name, and field 21, which we're calling value. We can hit the run button, check the left side of our join. Looks like not everything came out here from our join, so we're going to have to take another look at that. So this is looking to say class to class, and I accidentally put a capital C. The join tool is case sensitive, so I'm just going to fix this to a lowercase c, and now instead of having 128 records falling out of the left side of my join, I should have 0. All right, now I'm looking good. Let's go ahead and cross tab our data now. And we're going to want to very simply use a record ID to group. We want our name to be our column headers, our value to be our values. Our method for aggregating values will be concatenate. I don't think we'll need it though. And we end up with a nice clean data table. All that we need to do now is put it back in the same order and get rid of the record ID. So I'll use the select tool to do that. I'm going to deselect record ID. I'll move bruises down. I believe that class was first and then bruises was after cap color. So class will move to the top.
Thank you for learning with us today. Good luck on your Alteryx journey.
For more information on custom training, managed service automations, and more, please visit our website at abdataconsulting.com.